Well, good morning, everyone. I am so excited. I see some first-time visitors. I see some people I haven't seen in a while, and it's just so wonderful to see all of you. And today is Brunch Sunday. You picked a good day to be here. If this is your first time, there's food. The food here is always good. It's always a good day to be here on Brunch Sunday. So welcome, everyone. Well, I am Reverend Cindy Grimes, and today's topic is, let me go back to that, the way it works. What we're doing in Centers for Spiritual Living is that there is a curriculum now for every Sunday so that ministers who choose and churches who choose to participate in this are all teaching on the same topic the same Sunday. Isn't that cool? So there is an energy that we're creating around these different things that we're speaking about. And this year's theme is spiritual living. And our theme is values. Is what we hold dear and what is important to us in Centers for Spiritual Living. The month of January, our theme is spiritual living. So we are speaking about what it is that we actually believe in and what is in the bedrock of what we teach here at Centers for Spiritual Living. And it comes from the first 4 chapters in the book, The Science of Mind. Last week, I spoke about the thing itself. That's the title of the chapter, the thing itself. That thing we call God, the universe, the oneness, whatever it is you choose to call it, that's what we spoke about last week. And I want to give you a quick little recap. Do we have our movie ready to roll? You don't have a link? Well, we'll just go on then. The conversation last week, let me ask, do we have it or no?
I can get it.
You can get it, okay. Well, I'll just keep talking while we're pulling up our video link. So the thing itself, this thing we call God, this thing we call the oneness, the allness, I spoke about how we are part of that we are spirit, we are God in expression. And sometimes that's a difficult concept to kind of wrap your brain around. So I found a video. It's actually a children's book, a very short children's book that's called Becoming Me, The Story of Creation. And sometimes we just have to get that simple to really understand the concept that we're talking about. So if we're ready, we'll take a few minutes and watch this video.
Once upon a time, I was. There was no one who knew that I was, but I was. I liked to make myself into different shapes. Everywhere I looked, there was only me. I must be very big. I played by myself for ages. Then I started to get lonely. I wanted someone else to play with, someone who wasn't me. So I took a deep breath, gathered all my strength together, and squeezed really hard. I started to feel dizzy. It felt like I was falling, and then all of a sudden, in a big burst, I became something else. This was so much fun. I did it again and again, lots of different ways. I do it all the time now. I can become all kinds of things. Things that grow, swim, crawl, fly, and run. One day, I squeezed extra hard. I pushed, and I pushed, and I pushed, and all of a sudden I became you. What is this thing I'm in? Only one moment ago I was so big, and now I'm so little. It's like I'm all wrapped up in love. But as soon as I become you, you forget that you're me. In time, you forget all about me. Every so often, you wonder who you are. And I'm right here, reminding you. I like it best when you discover me. Then we play together, you and I. And sometimes, you realize that you are me. Sometimes you forget that everything else is me too. But even then, I still love you. Little me.
Thank you. Some of us have to think really far back to remember, right? What that was. To be something so big and come back as something so little. That makes so much noise. Well, this gives me an opportunity to repeat that quote from last week that I love so much that I could just say it over and over and over again. And it came from Ken Wilber. He says they, meaning the mystics, make this identical claim from every known culture, at every known period of recorded history, and in every known human language. And they do so consistently and so unanimously that this claim is very likely the single most universal spiritual claim that humanity has ever made. You get that? People from all walks of life, from all times, from history, from here, now, all different ages, making the same claim. It is this: the closer you get to your true self, the closer you get to who you really are, it is seen to be fully and even one with, identical to God or Spirit itself. That's huge. Just let that soak in. Rumi said it this way: you are a volume in the divine book, a mirror to the power that created the universe. Whatever you want, ask it of yourself. Whatever you're looking for can only be found inside of you. We are God's stuff. It's quite an amazing thing. The way we say it here in Centers for Spiritual Living is the Christ consciousness. Meaning some of you grew up, probably like I did, thinking that the name Jesus Christ, that Christ was Jesus' last name. How many grew up with that idea? Well, in Centers for Spiritual Living, we have a different opinion about that. And it's not just us, lots of other folks do too. That the idea of Christ consciousness is really a metaphor for our awareness of that oneness. for our remembering, for our knowing, and for our living from that place of oneness and knowing that we are really God's stuff. We are spirit and expression. And we say it this way: this awareness was and is present in all the prophets and enlightened beings who use this understanding to facilitate positive transformation in their own lives and in the world around them. As you and I come to a greater understanding and awareness of this truth and live from that we embody that truth, we become the Christ. We become the Christ. Now, some of you may have heard that for the first time last week and thought, when you were walking out the door, was lightning going to strike you? Is this woman really saying I'm God's stuff? I mean, that sounds like a really big, pompous claim. But it is. It is the truth of our being. And I'm not the only one saying it, right? It is the thing, the universal thing that has been said throughout history, again, from people from all walks of life, who live in that understanding and awareness of their true nature. Now, what could we do? Think about what you could do in your own life if you really embodied that. So how does this thing work? That's what we're talking about today. How does it work? How does it work? Jesus gave us the clue, right? Jesus was the great master. And I believe that Jesus was not the great exception, but the great example, the great way shower. And it's so simple. It is so simple what he said. Now, simple doesn't mean it's easy to do, right? But it is a very simple phrase, because according to your faith, be it done unto you. That means it is done unto you as you believe. Your life right now, how you're living, what is around you, your circumstances, everything about your life is a reflection of what you have put into this incredible, magnificent oneness, this creation. You are a co-creator with the divine, a co-creator. We're not victims. We're not victims here. It is done unto us as we believe. Unfortunately, though, as Henry David Thoreau said, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. How many of you have heard that quote? Yes. And is it the truth? Or just think about it. You know, look at the world around you, and maybe if you're sitting here, maybe you're not in that group. But certainly, the world outside and so many people are not living to their potential. They're living in victimhood. They are living these lives of quiet desperation. But maybe now we're ready to start waking up. Maybe that's why you're here today. There's something inside of you that is wanting to wake up. There's something inside of you saying that, nothing ever changes. It's just school, it's just work, it's just the same thing over and over again. But not today. Not today. Today, I go for the gusto of life. How many of you are ready to go for the gusto? See what the little character says here? Today I go for the gusto. He says, I think you should ask your mom if it's okay. How many of you know that word gusto? It means the excitement, right? The enthusiasm. In Spanish, it is gusto. Gusto de la vida. And gusto means the flavor, the sazon of life, the excitement, the wonder. Why are we not living from that? Right? If we can create anything it is that we want to create, we want to live this fabulous life, why are we living so small? Yeah. Right? Why don't we go for the gusto? Why aren't we venturing outside of the box? Anybody else feel like they're inside of a box like that? Well, I'll tell you, there's lots of reasons that people don't venture outside the box, and I bet you know a few of them. I'm going to start with the first one. It's scary. It's scary, right? We all have this world that we know, our comfortable little box, our comfortable little space, and to think about venturing outside of there, even though where we are may not be the best, we know it. We're comfortable with it, we're familiar with it. To think about venturing outside of that can be a little scary. You get the little butterflies. Anybody feel like that when you start thinking about something new? Yes, so it can be scary. It can also hurt. I'm not going to lie about that. How many of you have stepped outside of the box of what was expected, what you were supposed to be, either your parents, society, school, telling you how you're supposed to be, and you stepped outside of that box, or you stuck your hand out a little bit, and it got slapped down. Anybody else? Okay, so yes, it can hurt. I'll be honest about that. But it only hurts for a little while. Then there's a possibility of failure. Anybody else have a fear of success? Right? What is it going to call of me? What else is going to be added to my plate? Right? If I can create this amazing life that that I'm excited about, that I think could be this awesome wow, that I've just been working my whole life to get to this point, and then you think, well, what else is it going to take? What else is it going to take? What do I need to become to be able to embody this bigger vision? And we have a visitor here that talked about being at Mile High. And I've had that vision in my mind for what could OakBrook be if do you all know how Mile High Church of Religious Science, I don't know if that's what they call themselves now, in Colorado, the Mile High city, Denver. And it's huge, they have like 2,000 people on a Sunday. Multiple services, of course, but 2,000 people. Those are the big boys. I think about that and I start to get a little queasy. Like there's something in me that says that this could be the Mecca of the Southeast United States, right? We could be.
It is. We are.
It is. People are coming. And I'll be honest, I get a little nervous thinking about what is it going to take for me to be able to do this. We don't have to have 1,000 people. Even if we had 200 people.
Don't limit it.
Oh, don't limit it. All right. We all boost each other. It is a global shift. It is a global shift. You're absolutely right. And who am I to stand in the way of that? Who am I to stand in the way of that? What's the other thing? Another thing that keeps us in our box. Anybody else familiar with that one? Feeling undeserving? Feeling undeserving. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the degree. I don't have the money. I don't have the looks. Maybe, and Ted, you know about this, some of us are holding on to pain from generations back, right? My parents couldn't do it. They wanted to so bad. They wanted to create this new life and they weren't able to. And if I do it, it kind of makes them look bad. Anybody else relate to that?
Yes.
Kind of holding on to that ancestral pain and playing small to stay in somebody else's box. Somebody else's idea of what we're supposed to be and what we're here to do. So feeling undeserving can keep us in that box. And then there's this one, conditioning. Anyone know what I mean with that, conditioning? There are ways that we're conditioned by society. I hear terms like Murphy's Law. You know Murphy's Law? What does Murphy's Law say?
If it can't go wrong.
There, that's right. If something's going to go wrong, it can and it will, and it'll happen to me. Anybody else ever said those kind of things? What's the other one? Just waiting for the next shoe to drop. Life is going great. Life is going great, and then you start to think, oh no, this can't last. Right? I'm going to waiting now for the other shoe to drop, which I don't know if you know where that term comes from. It came from New York City, where people live in apartments, and you can hear your neighbors upstairs, right? And if somebody drops their one shoe, what's going to happen? Well, the next one's going to drop. They're 2 shoes, right? So you're waiting for the next shoe to drop, only for us, it's a negative thing. Life is going well, life is going beautifully. Well, now I'm just waiting for the next shoe to drop, because it can't be this good all the time. I had this one when I was a young person in my teens, and grew up in a home that was very traditional Latin, very strict family, and I had a very tight rope that I had to walk. Okay, I didn't step outside of it very often. When I did, I got my hand slapped a little bit. And if I felt like I had a really good time, there might be hell to pay when I got home. One time, I skipped school with all my other friends who had skipped school, and I had a good time. I had a really good time. It was a lot of fun. Until the next day when I got to school and I got called down to the principal's office. As I was walking to the office, Guess who I see in the hallway? My daddy, the police officer. I thought, I can't even skip school one time without getting busted. That was just my life. Anytime I stepped outside of the line or outside of the box, I got my hand slapped or a little bit more. And I started telling myself that I would not allow myself to have a good time. I was actually afraid to have too much fun because I thought that the smackdown was going to be that much worse. So I would just keep it at kind of a mid-range. Can anyone else relate to that? Just keeping it at a mid-range. But I don't want to get too far out of here, too happy, too anything, because the pain would be too much when I got that slap down. You know, whether it was from school or some other authority figure or something like that. So I stayed in the box. I stayed in the box for a long time until it got uncomfortable. Do you know that we can train animals this way too, and we're a lot like that. They train elephants. Think about how humongous an elephant is. You know how they train an elephant?
They break their spirit.
They take them when they're little, baby elephants, teeny tiny, and they wrap a chain around their leg and they tie them to a stake. So if it tries to get away, it's stuck, right? It's stuck on there. Now the elephant continues to grow, right? And it becomes this huge, massive animal. But if you want to keep it under control, what do? You tie it to a little stake. Now could it pull that stake out? Could it trample everything around it? It's powerful, massive, but it has no idea of its strength because of how it's been conditioned, how it's been raised. And you and I have been raised with those same kind of boxes, with the same chain, with those same kind of conditions. Those things that tell you you're not worthy, you're not good at it, you don't have enough of whatever, right? Or you don't deserve it, you might fail, it might hurt, it's scary out there, so we stay in our little box, playing the victim, playing small. Now that's not what you all are about, right? That's why you're here.
Yes.
Because we are here to remember, not to become something different, but to remember who it is that we really are and what we came here to do. And time's a-wasting. Time's a-wasting. And you know, what's that other phrase, that woman I love so much? Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for playing small here. Right? You have one life. You have one life, and the clock is ticking, and there are things that you and I came here to do, and to be, and to enjoy, and to have that song of life. Right? Don't wait anymore. It's time. It's time. Ernest Holmes said, in our ignorance of the truth of our being, we have misused the highest power we possess. So great is this power that so great is this power, so complete is our freedom in it, that the misuse of it has brought upon us the very conditions from which we suffer. We have forgotten who we are. And it's time for us to remember. It's time for us each to wake up. So how do we do that? How do we remember who we are? Now for this, I'm looking back to the great teacher, to the great example. What is it that Jesus taught us? What did Jesus say, the great commandments? That's right. Number one is to love God with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul and all your might. And to love your neighbor as yourself. That's number one. Number one. He also said this thing. Truly, as I say unto you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter into the kingdom of heaven. Now, what does that mean, to become like little children? What do you think he's trying to say with that? To be open to grow. Think about kids. Now, you don't have any kids in your life. Remember what it was like when you were a child. What were you like before that thing happened, before that person said that thing that made you feel less than? Endless possibilities, right? You were a sponge, soaking it all up, just taking in life. What else? Trusting. Oh my gosh, that is the biggest one. When you're a child, are you worried about how you're going to pay the bills? Are you worried about the car that just broke down? Our car just broke down. Grady's car died. We need another one. I'm not worrying about it. I know that probably the next one is going to be better. In fact, we're starting to vision. What is it? So I'm asking him, what do you really want? Not what are you going to settle for, but what do you really want? Let's play this game. And we're going to play this game, and that's what we're here to do, right? We can call it a game. Play big. Play big. Stop playing small. So let's be like kids. When you were a kid, how many things did you think you were going to be when you grew up? Right? I was going to be an astronaut. I was going to fly planes. I also thought I was going to be a doctor. What else did I want to do? Oh, lots of things I wanted to do. I never saw this one, though, by the way. This, what I'm doing here, never saw that one. What else is there about children? Confidence. Yes, kids just go out there and they do. They're fearless. And a willingness to make mistakes. They're not afraid of that thing called failure. They get up and they walk and they fall down and they get up and they walk again and they over and over and over again. They just keep practicing. They don't give up. They dream big. They have great imaginations. What else?
Loving everybody.
Perfect self-expression. Oh my gosh, that's a great one. Self-expression, right? How many of us, we feel the little tears start coming, you go, oh, give me a tissue, please. I'm sorry you're seeing me cry. How many times do you see a kid do that? Never. Loud and proud. Yes, they never do. Kids don't say, I'm so sorry, I'm doing the ugly cry. Please don't look at me. No. They just let it out. And once it's done, they laugh, let's go have some ice cream, it's all good now. But not us, no, we say it's not there. I'm much stronger than that, I don't need to cry, I don't cry anymore. How about when they're angry? I express that? Yeah, and how many of us have been squished down? Ladies, nice girls don't get angry, nice girls don't get mad, because they call you bad words. That word that's witch, that starts with a B. So children feel all of their feelings, they are self-expressed, they are confident, they use their imaginations, all things are possible. They trust in life. They know that their needs are going to be taken care of, and they don't worry about it. They accept everyone.
Absolutely.
They accept everyone. It's perfect love. It goes back to that first one that I told you about. Love God and then love your neighbors as yourself. A child is perfect love. For a child, think back on your own childhood and think about your relationship with your parents before that thing went wrong, before that thing happened, before whatever it was. And did you not think they were gods? My parent, which is the strongest, the smartest, the prettiest, the most everything wonderful. And then something happened. And we made up a big story about it at 5 years old or 6 years old, whenever it was, and we've been living from that place ever since. Unless you get into a workshop with someone like Dr. Ted or with M.K. Mueller over there, and you get to release that stuff. And you release it, but we can do it. You don't have to do something that big. You don't have to do great big workshops. You can do it in your own mind, in your own time, in your own meditations, in your quiet time, in your journaling. But just get in touch with those things. I had another little aha moment for myself this week. I had a really intense week. There was a lot going on. It was wonderful. It was all great stuff. It was all a lot of fun. I was at the prison Thursday. We had an event Friday morning. It was a fundraiser for our domestic violence shelter. And our keynote speaker for that event is here today, Miss M.K. Mueller. Raise your hand, M.K. She's one of my mentors and a good friend. So we had that event. Then we had Greg Tamblin in the evening right here, our comedy concert. Then we had a workshop with M.K. And I was involved in all of this. And today's talk. So I'm thinking last week, why do I keep doing this to myself? I love all of it. I love what I'm doing, but it's like this thing I have. I gotta keep doing it, get it done. And I'm in my meditation and I got a vision of myself at about 9 or 10 years old taking swim lessons. And there's a whole line of kids standing at the edge of the pool, and I'm at the deep end. And I've got to swim across to the other side and come back. And I am petrified. But I know I can do it. I know I've got to do it. I dive into the water, and I swim and swim and swim like crazy, never breathing, not a single time. I get to the other side, I hit it, flip around, come back, swim furiously, again, never breathing. When I got out of the water, it was like, I made it. But of course, I'm completely out of breath, wiped out, and the instructor was just cracking up. I mean, he's practically rolling on the ground like, do you realize you didn't even breathe? Not a single time? I said, no, I was terrified. But I made it, I did it. And I just realized, like, oh my gosh, this is what I always do. I have this goal, I have this thing I want to achieve, and I'm going to do it come hell or high water. And sometimes I don't have time to breathe. Is that ridiculous? Is that silly or what? So now, as I'm in my meditations, I'm seeing myself swimming to the other side, but now I'm taking my time. Now I kind of roll over on my back a little bit, do a little backstroke, do a little floating. I'm still gonna get there, but I don't have to get there all out of breath and all crazy and all wound up, right? So I just invite you to reflect on your life, reflect and just start paying attention. You know, maybe do some of that journaling. Take some of that quiet time. Come early for meditation and just take some time in the quiet to see what it is that your soul is wanting to tell you. Because the answers are all inside of you. Your answers are not out there. Your answers are not outside. Spirit is moving and working through you and has the answers that you need, better and more than what anyone else can tell you. We each have our own answers. So we're to become, again, like little children, with the trust and the hope and the openness and the excitement and the enthusiasm, the gusto for life. Henry David Thoreau, it was my theme running through this, one of them. I love this quote by Thoreau. I'm going to read the whole thing. That's the beginning of it. Most of you have probably heard that. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. He will put some things behind, then will pass an invisible boundary. That's the part I love. Right? You will pass an invisible boundary. New, universal, and more liberal laws will begin to establish themselves within and all around him. Or the old laws will be expanded and interpreted in his favor in a more liberal sense, and he will live with the license of a higher order of being. When you take that step, when you do that thing that you were afraid of, and you take that step in bravery and in faith, the universe will open up and conspire on your behalf to bring about the thing that you desire, that your heart is desiring. Because guess what? It's what the universe is desiring for you. Desire means of the Father. If there are dreams that are burning in your heart and your soul, something that you're wanting to achieve, something that you're wanting to see, know that it is Spirit inside of you that is calling you to your greater being, your greater yet to be, and trust it. Trust it. So how much can one demonstrate? Well, this is what Ernest Holmes says, just what one can believe. How much can we see? How much can we accept? How much can we find in our consciousness? Whatever that is, that much we can have. Amen. That much we can have. And MK says it this way, right? It's what we can conceive, see, right? What we can conceive, what we can imagine, and what we can believe is what we will achieve, right? You have to see it first. You have to feel it in your being and know and trust and have faith that it can come to be, and then you will see it. Some people have it the opposite. We think when I see it, I'll believe it. Right? How many people have said that? We've read it when I show me when I see it, I will believe it. And it is the other way around. That's why the masses of men lead lives of quiet desperation.
Yes.
Because we are here to believe it first, to conceive it, believe it, and then we will see it.
Yes.
Okay, got it?
Yes.
All right, don't reverse the order anymore. All right, we got it. Okay, so now I think it's time for us to do our affirmation all together. And now you can say it with excitement and enthusiasm and real feeling. And make this yours. And as Donna invited you, take these affirmations, because it's the last thing I do. When I put my talk together, the very last thing I do is pull it all together with the affirmation, so that you can take that idea and use it throughout the week. Put it on your mirror, put it in your car, just to remind yourself every day. Let that be your spiritual practice. So all together. I advance confidently in the direction of my dreams, trusting that life is inspiring on my behalf. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you all.